Hello and welcome to episode 292 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Today on the show, we talked about a lot of good things. We started with a logical reasoning question and tackled one of the more common flaws and then one of the less common flaws, but still an important one and crucial to that question. We then talked about the August LSAT, which is going to have 4 sections and apparently creating some reservations for some people. And then we went into a whole slew of emails about people who had basically gotten offers. Some were making good decisions, but I would say most were not,
There's a
right?
lot of tough love in this episode, y'all.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where we get a lot of emails from people who have various offers from various schools. And the people who followed our advice have excellent offers in hand, and we are happy to help them, you know, reap what they have sowed. The people who haven't followed our advice just end up with mediocre offers. And if you email us asking us what you should do and all your offers are mediocre, we're going to tell you that you need to run it back. You need to do it again. There's too many people who get excellent, amazing, they're going to Harvard, they're going to Yale, they're going to Stanford, they've got full rides, they've got stipends, they've got all of these amazing opportunities. And so when you write in asking us to compare shitty offer A to shitty offer B, we're we're not
going to give you
we're not going to help you pick between those two. I'm sorry. It's not happening.
We're going to give you awesome option C, which is for some of you to retake the LSAT and apply again next cycle. Some of you already have amazing LSAT score.
Yeah.
So just
that last one that
right now. And
the last one, it'll be at the end of the episode for you guys, but we get to somebody who has numbers that are just wildly better than their offers.
Yeah.
And you don't need to retake the LSAT, but you do need to reapply to law school. This cycle sucks, y'all. It's the most competitive cycle ever. If you've got an amazing offer, you have an amazing offer. If you're asking us to choose between 3 mediocre offers, we're going to tell you to reapply on September 1st.
Yeah.
Turn down all the terrible offers. You don't have to force yourself into something that's not the right fit for you. Try again. So there's a lot of that in this episode.
Cool. Well, this will air on Monday, April 5th. Okay. The April LSAT registration closes in 5 days on Saturday, April 10th.
No. That's the April LSAT starting on April 10th.
Of course, I'm reading the registration closed and not thinking. Okay, thank you. So the April LSAT is in 5 days. Good luck to all of you. That would make sense. It's April 1st. That was my April Fool's joke, by the way. And then the June registration deadline is Friday, April 30th. So at the end of this month, you have to have decided and registered for the June LSAT, which will take place the week of June 12th.
Hey, have you heard, this is a little bit of news to me. My students were telling me that the LSAT is actually just offered on 2 days, this April LSAT, that everybody's going to take it one day or the next day. Have you heard that?
I hadn't heard that. No.
Okay. It used to be that with ProctorU, they were spreading the flex across a whole week. But what I've heard so far is that there's only like a couple days that are available for people to register on. That may or may not be correct. That's just what my current classes are saying.
Well, it would make more sense. I don't see why they couldn't do that. If they just ramp up ProctorU and time it well, and they could get it done faster, which I think they'd like to do, right? That would make sense. But
it seems like less opportunities for cheating, fewer opportunities for cheating if they did it that way. We'll see. Hey, one last thing.
Sure.
Before we get into all of our other stuff, did you happen to look at that update from LSAC yesterday about the answer choices?
No, I didn't see that.
Update. We just got an email from Eric about the apparently they changed like the way when you click to clear an answer, or you click to like reject an answer. But you're gonna have to email me to let me know if the email that we got from LSAC makes any sense at all, because I could not understand it was like they were kept giving before and after, and I couldn't tell the difference between them, and I couldn't tell I just had no clue what was going on. Anyway,
Okay,
maybe we
I'll
can
take
cut
a
all that
look.
out
Maybe,
because it's
may
not news right now.
okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's go. Hey, so excuse of the week. This is where we take excuses that we've either heard in the demon or from you all, our listeners, and decide whether it's legit. I don't think there are ever legit excuses. Well,
No.
there's got to be some, right? There's got to be something out there that's legit, but
Yeah, this one comes to us from one of our teachers. I can't remember who it was, but they heard this in one of their classes. Um, I don't want to take the August LSAT because of the extra section.
okay. So the LSAT right now is 3 sections. In August, they're going to add an experimental section, which won't be graded, making it a 4-section online test that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And this person doesn't want to take that test because it has a 4th section.
Yeah, I mean, the LSAT, when we took it, Ben, was 5 sections. 4 of them scored, 1 of them experimental. Now we've got just a 4-section test. 3 of them count. 1 of them is experimental. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, I just always kind of shake my head when I see stuff like this. I guess it's human nature to just be, what is that? Just like optimizing or something. But
Sure. Yeah.
it's totally missing the forest for the trees, because law schools only care about your highest score. I've definitely heard people say like, "Oh no, I want to make sure that I'm no. June's going to be my last attempt."
Yep.
Even if they have an attempt to spend,
Yeah.
oh no, June's going to be my last attempt because I just don't want to do that extra section.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I totally agree with your point. Missing the the forest for the trees, right? It's like going to the grocery store and obsessing over the price of a can of beans, but then not taking the time to research all the houses you might buy
yeah.
and spending thousands and thousands of dollars more than you would have. But boy, you sure spent a lot of time really figuring out which can of beans to buy. Your LSAT score is so important. You really just can't worry about one more 35-minute section. It's 35 minutes of your life.
Well, yeah, I mean, the maximum that the test could possibly take, even if it does have 4 35-minute sections, that's 2 hours and 20 minutes worth of timed sections, plus a little break in between section 2 and 3, plus a little time for setup, right? Waiting for your proctor, showing them around your room, making sure that your whole thing is all set up for the test. Maximum 3.5 hours, even with a force. I mean, barring some disaster where you get put on hold for 2 hours. It's,
Yeah.
it's a, it's a, when lawyers and how much they work, what their workday looks like. This is like 1/3 of the LSAT, start to finish, is like 1/3 of a Saturday
Mm-hmm.
or Sunday for a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. So I just always kind of go, man, you could have just casually said that and not really meant it. If you didn't really think it through and you said, I don't want to take August because of the extra section. Okay. But you're entering a world of crazy working long
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, also, as Ben points out, you're in your home. Presumably you kind of like it there. I mean, you can make it however you want it normally. So how bad could it possibly be? And then, oh, here's this one, Ben. How about this one? But I'm accommodated and I get double time. So that extra section, it's not just an extra 35 minutes. It's a whole extra 70 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Well, you're getting a lot of benefits.
I definitely have seen the other kids in the class just sort of recoil from that, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, this person's actually complaining about getting double time. Um, Anyway, that's the excuse of the week. If you've got an excuse of the week, email help@thinkinglsat.com or hit us up on social @thinkinglsat. I've been surprised since we've started talking about and thinking about the excuse of the week, they pop up all over the place. We get these. It's like every class I hear something that could go on the podcast agenda for excuse of the week.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, bad, but good.
Yeah. Well, they're never going to go away, right? It's just the nature of our minds to find reasons to complain.
Yep.
Well, okay, let's jump into this. We have a logical reasoning question from test 65, section 4. It's question 26. Oh, good. Looks short. It's about volleyball. I don't have my volleyball sweatshirt on today, but
you have a volleyball sweatshirt?
I do.
What does it say?
It says Metro Volleyball. No, it's a volleyball team. It's
I see.
Maria's daughter's team.
Okay. Have you ever played volleyball?
I've played as a matter of a pickup game. That's it. Yeah. You mean like more seriously, right?
No. I guess I meant recently.
Oh, no, not really.
Yeah. Apparently they play a lot here at the lake in the summertime. Like beach volleyball.
Yeah, beach volleyball. Great.
I've watched people and it seems really difficult to dig around in the sand like that. But I don't know. I might mess around this summer.
Okay.
You want to read the argument here?
Yeah. Because our club recruited the best volleyball players in the city, we will have the best team in the city.
No, you won't.
Okay, that's a part to whole flaw right there. Just because you have the best players doesn't necessarily mean that your team overall will be the best. We have to grant you that you do have the best players, but they may not play well together because the sum of the parts may be actually less than the sum of some other parts that are.
Yeah, and Ben immediately went right to the LSAT teacher thing, right? He has a name for this flaw because that's a common flaw. He said, oh, that's the whole part, or the part to whole flaw, rather. The parts don't have to have the same attribute as the whole.
Yep.
But it's just common sense. Everybody has seen pick your favorite sport. You've seen your favorite team sport. You've seen a dream team come together that turns out to be a nightmare because even though it's all of the super best players, they ball hog it, or they're poorly coached, or who knows what, they can all be the best players, but they do not have to be at all the best team. All right.
Yep. This argument continues. Moreover, since the best team in the city will be the team most likely to win the city championship, our club will almost certainly be city champions this year. Okay, so I'll grant this author, and I think I might have to because it looks like it's in a premise, but this person is saying that the best team in the city will be the team most likely to win the city championship. That doesn't seem too crazy to me. You're more likely to win than any of the other teams. That said, saying that our club, or concluding from that our club will almost certainly be city champions this year, is confusing I'm going to go LSAT terminology here, but it's confusing a situation that's relative. Like you're more like this team is more likely to do better than another team. Doesn't mean that they're likely to win, right?
Yep.
Like you still may be up against a ton of teams, and maybe you have a 10% chance of winning and all the other teams have only a 5% chance of winning. So you're the team that's most likely to win because you have a higher chance than anyone else, but your chances of winning are still very small because you're up against a large field of clubs.
Yep. And sure, you could have the best chance of winning, but if there's 100 teams in the competition, maybe the best chance, maybe you're the best team by far, and you have like a 10% chance of winning the tournament. There could be no other team that has a 5% chance of winning the tournament. You have a
Sure.
10% chance of winning the tournament because you're the best team by far, but you're still only going to win 10% of the time. And in their conclusion here, they went to almost certainly be city champions, which that means most of the time, right? Doesn't that mean more than
It
half of the
does.
time?
It does. Yeah.
So there's a second flaw here. And to the extent that this question is hard at all, it's hard because there was the first pretty obvious flaw.
Yes.
Just because you have the best players does not mean that you have to be the best team. But even if we grant you that you are the best team and that you do have the best chance to win the city championship, that does not mean that you're almost certainly going to be city champions, because we could have 100, we could have 1,000 teams in the field, right? We could have 10,000 teams in the field. And so you could be head and shoulders above the rest, but that doesn't mean you're more than a 50-50 to win the tournament. Especially, I mean, the NCAA basketball tournament's going on right now. It's single elimination. You could be the best team by far, but
you're out. Oops.
Yeah, UCLA could come out of nowhere and beat you. So,
hey, so just so people are familiar with these terms, I love the intuitive explanation. The LSAT jargon I would use to describe this flaw is the person is going from something that's relative to something that's absolute. So they're saying, hey, this team is more likely to win than any other team, but that doesn't mean that they're likely to win. Just say by analogy, if you're the tallest person in the room, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're tall, right? It's the same kind of problem.
that's a great, vivid analogy there. If this is a jockey convention, you could be the tallest jockey in the room, by far the tallest jockey in the room, but they might describe you as tall for a jockey. But if we were trying out for the volleyball team, the tallest person in that room might be the shortest person on the volleyball team.
Yeah.
And so, yes, a shift between relative and absolute. I got excuse of the week on my mind since we started with that today. I get people with this type of an issue. People get so caught up in the technicality that they're like, I never studied that. No one ever taught me that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have much patience for that particular excuse. I mean, I'm happy to explain this thing a million times until it finally clicks for you. But like, if you think that someone had to teach you at some point the difference between relative and absolute, I don't think that's it. It just seems like so obviously common sense. I guarantee that you do this analysis all the time in your everyday life. You're the richest one of all your friends. Okay, does that make you rich?
Yeah.
Or you're the poorest one of all of your friends. Does that make you poor? Not really. Not if you're, an American, went to college. You can easily be the poorest of your friends and not be objectively poor by any, broader standard.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the test is testing logic, and logic usually by definition makes sense.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. Yeah,
it's logical.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, it's logical. And it's not, see, that's we're like, right, we're on something there, I think, because it's like, yeah, it internally by itself, without anybody ever having to ordain that this is the truth, it's just it's inherently
sounds religious.
Well, no, but I mean, that's
I like
exactly
it. Yeah, exactly what you're
well,
fighting against, right? You want it to be objective and scientific versus prescribed or revelatory.
Yeah, it is. I think we all recognize this as objective truth. If you just think about it for 5 seconds, you have the biggest house on your street. The biggest house on your street is the most likely house on your street to be the biggest house in town. But just because you have the biggest house on your street does not mean it's more than likely that you will, or sorry, almost certain or more than 50% that you would have the biggest house in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, your house is the only house on your street that has the chance to be the biggest house in town. But there's lots of other houses in town, and you have no idea relatively, comparing your street to the rest of town. All right. Anyway, we could come up with 1,000 different examples.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I wanted to point out the verbiage there is the one case that people may struggle, even with a clear understanding of the logic, is in a flaw question where they describe or try to describe that flaw, right? Because they use those terms, relative and absolute. And for some people, it might be like, what? Like, what is relative? What's absolute? What do you mean by that? And the LSAT does use those terms sometimes.
Yeah. And so here it's the relative comparison is we're the best team in the city. Actually, that's absolute. We are the best team in the city.
So that's relative because you're still comparing yourself to other people. You may not be good. You're just better than everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolute. We are the best team. Sorry, relative because we're comparing to someone else. Well, but okay. So this premise is also. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
So the most likely to win is the relative part I was focusing on. Yeah.
Yes, and that's where the flaw lies here is from the relative premise, most likely to win the championship. It's and actually they switched terms here to almost certainly be city champions, which I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it does mean like more than half the time.
Yeah.
They could have said, since the best team in the city will be the team most likely to win the city championship, our club is likely to win the city, likely to be city champions.
Yes, exactly. And then you'd see the same words, but they just dropped that word most.
That would have made it even harder
likely.
Because what I just did there was I still make the relative to absolute because most likely is a relative term.
Yep.
Whereas likely implies more than half the time. So that's an absolute term.
Exactly. When I saw the phrase almost certainly, I translated that in my head to likely because I'm just going to treat it as greater than 50%, which is what likely means.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. I was like, yeah, more than half the time.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we beat this one to death. It has two flaws. And now the question's asking us the reasoning in the argument is flawed because what? Are you thinking anything here before you go to the answer choices on a flaw question? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm looking for something that's going to describe exactly what happened in the argument in terms of the flaw. There are at least two flaws in this argument. So I would expect the correct answer to describe either one of those. I would not expect the two answers to describe these flaws, one describing one and one describing the other. And then we'd have to choose between the two.
Absolutely
because they would both be correct, right? So
yeah. Notice it doesn't even say anything about like most flawed because whatever, right? So only one of these answers, and this is the way I like to teach it these days, Ben. I think I kind of got it from you. I'm not sure if you do it exactly this way, but when I teach how to do a flaw question, right? Like if I ask, I'll put somebody on the spot, like, hey, what's your plan on a flaw question? What I want them to say is, I'm looking for something that they did wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So it can be a two-step analysis because it's like a must be true first. I know they did this thing. If I can't prove that they did the thing that the answer is describing, then this is not the answer. So they have to have done it. And furthermore, it's wrong that they did it. So you should probably already be yelling about it in your head. You should be like, hey, wait a second, the best players don't necessarily mean the best team. You did that, and that's wrong. Two, you made a relative to absolute flaw here. You did that, and it's wrong that you did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Now, this is This might be looking into the test a little too much, but I'm kind of anticipating, because the first flaw was so obvious and the second flaw was clearly a flaw but not so obvious for people. I'm wondering if the test is likely to give us an answer choice that incorrectly describes the first flaw in an
Well,
attempt to pull people off, right? And get people to choose that because that's only what they're looking for.
yep,
And they try to fit that answer choice, that
yep.
circle answer choice,
Well,
into a square
I bet you can go
hole.
one step further. Specifically, what do you think they're going to do to try to trap you here? That first flaw that you identified so easily was what again?
It's going from part to whole. So maybe they'll give us one that goes from whole to part or something like that.
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah. And it will be wrong, but it will be the only thing that people are looking for. And so then they're just going to say, this is the best answer. There's not really a best answer in flaw questions.
Yeah, good point. Yep. No, that's there's just not the best answer on it. You could go ahead and presume that there is no
Yeah.
such thing as the best answer on any LSAT question. There's one correct answer and four wrong answers on every LSAT question. I guarantee that the test makers think of it that way. They want like a legally defensible correct answer.
Yep.
And they want four legally defensible wrong answers. So
Yeah.
in their mind, the test makes perfect sense. It's never about like, oh, well, that's almost correct.
Yeah.
So I'll pick that. That's much more likely to just be an objectively wrong answer.
I like that you said presume that, because I think that's true 98% of the time. There is this,
Right.
right when you said that, it reminded me of this one question. Of course, everybody's going to take this exception to the extreme, but it was a strengthen question, which is asking you which one following if true most, actually, I think it was a weaken question. Which one following if true most weakens, right, the argument? And whoever wrote it was having a fun time, because A, B, C, and I think maybe D, but at least A, B, and C all weakened. They just progressively weakened it more. It was a matter of degree, like some versus most, or whatever. And then finally, D, I think, weakened it by far the
Like
most,
a
because it,
sufficient weakener.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were hoping to pick you off, right? Like at some point you're gonna like pick one of those. And then so there was a matter of degree, but that's
It's
pretty rare.
extremely rare. We had one the other day where I thought that there was a second best answer because there were two. Remember, it was a matching flaw question, and the
Mm-hmm.
flaw was confusing sufficient for necessary. And then there
Yeah.
were two answers that confused sufficient for necessary. One of them was a
Mm,
mistaken reversal, and the other one was a mistaken negation. And I wish the LSAC would stop doing that. But
yeah.
that was an example where it was like, okay, if that answer wasn't there, then I would clearly pick this. But I it's just vanishingly small. The importance of that is vanishingly small. Like you could still reach 179 or 180 even without ever getting into analysis like that. Yes, we can find a small handful of questions, but we got 9,000 questions to sort through.
Yeah, I think the presumption is important, because if you think most questions have answer choices in which it's a matter of degree, like, oh, well, if we got rid of the correct answer, would this one work? Yeah, like this one would be great. No, you're missing something that usually makes that answer impossible for it to ever be correct. It would be really bizarre for the LSAT to like force that as the best answer. And you're missing that because you're just thinking, oh, it's just like not as good. No, there's like a word that's like gone, and if you realize that that word's gone or been added to that answer choice, you see it and you're like, oh, that's never going to work. So anyways, that's what we're worried about, I think, right, is people not realizing what's really wrong with that answer.
I
Anyway.
promise that there's one time per test maximum, and I doubt that it's even that often, that there really is a legitimate, credible second best answer.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
just, I,
even if there is, there's going to be a concrete reason. It's not like just, oh, well, that
well,
person felt like it was better. You can say, oh, that's the word right there that makes that
I,
answer worse.
but I guess what I'm saying is by definition, it's not just that it's worse, it's just wrong. I mean, it's just there just aren't very many even credible second best answers. I think I mean, more often than not, there's like three different reasons why that answer is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Cool.
we're looking for a flaw, something that this argument did wrong. Go ahead.
A, presumes without presenting relevant evidence that an entity can be distinguished as the best only on the basis of competition. This is like reversing what happened here. Like we concluded what the competition outcome would be from the fact that they were the best team. This is like saying, oh, we can conclude, or we can decide that they're the best only on the basis of a competition. In other words, the best becomes like the conclusion or something like that. So in my mind, this is flipped. I'm not even gonna think much about it.
Yeah. And I mean, even without getting into the whole only thing, or whether, if putting aside the issue of whether they did this,
Mm-hmm.
um, no, they just didn't, they just did not they didn't say competition is the only thing that can distinguish us as the best. Matter of fact, they did the exact opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
They said we have the best individual players, therefore we're the best. That has nothing to do with, hey, look at our record, or look at our game we just played against the city champions or whatever. Okay.
B, predicts the success of an entity on the basis of features that are not relevant to the quality of that entity. Okay. Is this happening? No, because it does predict the success of an entity, the club, on the basis of features. They're the best team, but those features are relevant to the quality of that entity.
Players.
Yeah, the players. So we have they're looking at the fact that they're the best players to decide that they're the best team. That's flawed. You can't do that. But to say that the fact that they're the best players is irrelevant is
Right.
also flawed. Like it's
Right.
going too far in the other extreme.
Right.
So
So the burden of proof is on us here. Did they do it wrong?
yeah.
That first step, did they do this? It's like a must be true question. So you have to imagine standing up in court and saying, Your Honor, their argument is built on features that are not relevant to the quality of the team. And you're going to really try to make that case that the quality of the players is not relevant to the quality of the team. I've gone rounds with students in classes on this exact question before.
Mhm.
And it's like they'll sometimes, they want to stick to their guns, but it's like, really? You're going to try to I understand that the quality of the players does not necessarily mean that the team is going to have that quality, because that would be the part to whole flaw. But to say that it's irrelevant is just clearly absurd, right? Like that's just a non-starter of an argument. You're going to lose immediately the second you start saying, well, what? No, the fact that they're all 7 feet tall and super fast and super strong and super athletic, that's not relevant to how good the team is going to be. I'm sorry, but that's an immediate fail. So they did not do what B is describing.
Yeah. C, does the argument predict the outcome of a competition? Yes. Merely on the basis of a comparison between the parties in that competition.
I say yes, give them credit for it.
Okay. The
Even if
strongest
they
word in
did.
there is merely on the basis of comparison. Yeah, it does seem like that. They said, hey, they're the best team.
Well, even are the best players is like, yeah, that's a comparison of our team to your team, right? Our players are the best players in the city.
Yeah.
That means yours aren't. Our team is the team most likely to win the city championship. That's a comparison between the parties in the competition. So let's say, yes, they did do what C is describing.
Yeah. Is that a problem? Can you predict the outcome of a competition merely on the basis of a comparison between the parties in that competition? It doesn't seem too crazy of a way to predict the outcome.
It seems
What
like
else are
the
you going to look
very
at?
best way to predict the outcome. I mean, let's take it down to just two teams in the fight, or like an actual boxing match.
Yeah.
You've got a boxing match between Shaquille O'Neal and Nathan Fox. You look at the
Yikes.
7-foot, 400-pound monster, and then you look at me and you go, based on a comparison between the two parties, I'm going to predict that Shaq is going to win this boxing match.
And I was just thinking about it. I was like, okay, if you're not predicting the outcome of a competition merely on a basis of the comparison between the parties, okay, so maybe you look to outside information, right? Like some rules or something. But even
Well,
then, I think you're going to have to tie them back to the parties in some way, right? Like
yeah,
how would those rules affect the parties? So I don't see this as being a problem, or at
yeah.
least a huge one.
It's tricky because they did it, but you're just going to have a hard time making the case that it's wrong that they did that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, it didn't C doesn't, they didn't like predict it absolutely on the basis of merely a comparison, right? They just said, well, yeah, we're going to win. We're the most likely to win. So we're going to almost certainly be the city champions. The problem there is the relative to absolute. The problem is not oh, well, you really need to consider other things besides looking at the teams that are in the tournament.
You need to consider the weather. Well, yeah, but even then, you're going to bring it back to the
We're the
parties in
best
some
team. The
way.
weather affects everybody. Yeah, right. You can't do that weather analysis without also getting back to like, well, you have experience. We're in the weather and you don't have experience in the weather. So that you're still going to be making a comparison between the parties. All right. Anyway, C is not a problem.
Cool. D, presumes without providing warrant. That just means necessarily assumes that if an entity is the best among its competitors, then each individual part of that entity must also be the best. No, this is going backwards. It said each part is the best, therefore we are the best. Each of our players is the best, therefore we're the best team. Not, hey, we're the best team, so each of our players must be the best. So this didn't happen.
When you try to do 5 questions in the last 5 minutes, you are very likely to skim this one. You see the part to whole flaw in the first sentence of the argument. You skim the answer choices. You see D talking about parts and wholes, and you pick it. This is why we must decide that we're not going to try to do 5 questions in the last 5 minutes. We're going to instead do one more question in the last 5 minutes and actually get it right. Because you could have invested 60 seconds on this question and still missed it.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you recognize, by the way, Ben, this is the answer that we predicted, right?
Yeah.
There were 2 flaws in the argument. Maybe one of them is going to be, maybe one of the wrong answers is going to be a misstatement of one of those flaws.
Yep.
Sure enough, there it is. That's a nicely laid trap, I would say.
Yeah. It's a flaw, but it's not the flaw that happened here.
Right. D's wrong because they didn't do it. They took the part to the whole. They didn't take the whole to the part. So D misdescribes the argument. You stand up in court and start yelling about they did D. Their defense is no, we did not.
Oh, this answer, this sorry, I started reading ahead to the next answer, and there's some more relative absolute stuff we get to talk about here. So it says E concludes, so this argument concludes that because an event is the most likely of a set of possible events, yes, they're the team most likely to win, that event is more likely to occur than not. The phrasing, so this is exactly what we described, is talking about going from something that is most likely to happen to something that is likely to happen. Even though you're the most likely event to occur, you could still be pretty unlikely.
Yep.
but this is interesting because the last phrase of this answer choice says that event is more likely to occur than not. That sounds like a relative phrase, right? Because it says more likely. But if you say you're more likely to occur than not, all you're saying is that you're likely to occur, which is an absolute. So this is describing the relative to absolute flaw in the
Yeah, and
second half of that argument.
it's exactly what we predicted. It's exactly what we were looking for. We would fairly easily pick E because it's April, and because April is Masters golf tournament month.
Okay.
I'll just give one more example. Maybe somebody who's a golf fan out there will get this. Last year's Masters tournament was delayed because of COVID. So they played the Masters in like October or November, which is totally weird. It's never in October or November, but that was just a few months ago. That if you're a golf fan at all, you might remember Dustin Johnson just totally running away with the Masters last year. I mean, he just buried the field. Okay, just destroyed the field, and he's in the field this month in another Masters. Like, so just a few months later, same golf course, same guy. And I live in Nevada, so I went to the sports book and picked up the like betting sheet on the odds, right? And Dustin Johnson is clearly the favorite to win. But being the favorite to win, the most likely to win a golf tournament that has 80 people in the field.
Yep.
He is the most likely of the 80. It is the most likely of a set of possible events, right? Any of the 80 people on the list can win. Dustin Johnson is by far the most likely to win. But he's like a 3-1 bet, which means that he's only going to win 1/3 of the time.
Yeah. If it helps everyone think about it for a second, imagine you had two choices. You could either bet that he wins or you bet that anyone else wins.
You can. That's actually a bet. I mean, you can bet on absolutely anything. Welcome to Nevada, but you can certainly go in there and say, I'll take the field.
Yep.
You know, you're essentially betting on Dustin Johnson to lose. Well, that's a far more than 50% proposition because there's 79 other guys in the field. And I don't care how good Dustin Johnson is. I don't care that he's the defending champ. Yes, he has to beat all 79 of them to win the Masters. And so the field is much more likely to win, even though Dustin Johnson is the individual in the field who is most likely to win.
Yeah, he's more likely to beat any of them, but they as a group are more likely to beat him. That's the same exact problem.
That's exactly what's going on with this club volleyball argument.
Cool.
And that's why the answer is E. Cool.
Yeah. All right, mailbag.
Yeah, thanks. Keep your cards and letters coming, by the way. help@thinkinglsat.com. We love getting news reports from you. Today, we got a whole bunch of emails from people who have been getting offers. I guess springtime is offer season for the law schools. So we got all kinds of updates from listeners and former Demon students, people talking about their scholarships.
Yeah, maybe they're getting desperate, right? They have a few open seats still. They're like, okay, we got to fill these. Let's make some decisions.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think what happens is there's like movement at the top, right? People commit at the top.
And then trickles down.
Yeah. So like, for example, I don't know if you know this or not, but LSAT Demon tutor Sarah told me yesterday that she has accepted her offer to go to Harvard Law School. So we've got, that's at least so far, we've got 2 people starting at Yale and 1 person starting at Harvard who are currently teaching classes for the LSAT Demon starting this fall, which is impressive. It's a feather in our cap. I did not go to Harvard or Yale.
I did not.
So anyway, you know what happens, I think, is Sarah accepts and then Harvard has to like kind of go, okay, well, you down there on the wait list, you're now cut. And then the things just kind of filter down from the top, right? So there's going to be more offers get made as people decide where they're going to go, then other offers get cut. Anyway, I'll dive in here. It says, hi, Leslie, Ben, and Nathan. Leslie works with us doing personal statement editing stuff. Hi, I'm writing to thank you for your help with my personal statement. I ended up applying to 30 schools. Wow. I was accepted at 7 with a total of $713,000 in scholarship money. I was also waitlisted at 7.
Wait,
So, yeah,
can we hold on one second? I just want to point out one thing too. Anyone who's listening, maybe in your car right now, Nathan just said 30 schools. That's a lot, but Ma- Madeline is setting herself up for success. I
yeah,
just want to compare this to an email that we're going to get later, which I feel like is a completely different experience. But
yeah.
anyways,
Nope. This is winning. I mean, notice also the dramatically different response from these 30 schools that she applied to. She obviously applied to a broad, portfolio of schools. I think portfolio is a pretty damn good analogy here, actually, right?
yeah, it's like a
You don't,
stock portfolio. You don't
yeah,
want to invest in
no,
3 schools or 3 stocks.
no, you're gonna have 30 stocks in your portfolio, not 3. You're gonna have 30 stocks in your portfolio. Some of them are going to be home runs, some of them are going to be complete strikeouts. That's the whole point of having a portfolio is that
But sometimes those home runs can be, like you said, home runs. They're not
yeah,
just, they
well,
take you all the way. They give you a
that's
full ride and a stipend or whatever.
that's
Yeah.
all anybody needs is one, right? She's
Yep.
happy about her 700 and whatever $1,000 worth of scholarship money. She can only accept one of those offers,
Yeah.
but she's cast a very wide net, and she's hoping to reel in the big one here. This morning I have decided to accept, and I'm already like, why? What? Why?
Hmm?
School doesn't start until September 1st. You're still on the wait list at 7 schools. Why have you decided to accept? Anyway, congratulations. I have decided
Sure.
to accept an almost full ride offer at Villanova University's Charles Widger School of Law, which, can we not do that? You're going to
Villanova Law
Villanova
School.
Law. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it's, I think, and by the way, this is a very positive email. I'm super happy that Madeline has been successful. But that right there is a little like she's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Mhm.
It's Villanova Law. You don't need to name whoever the hell Charles Widger is. That's what, no one gives a shit. Anyway, where I have deferred my admission and scholarship and will be joining next year's class in the fall of 2022. Okay. So, we've accepted, I mean, so that means now she's accepting a school that she's not going to go to until, yeah, a year and a half from now.
Hmm.
But I guess it's nice to know. Maybe she has reasons,
Yeah. Her life
family reasons, or she's getting married,
has
or
some certainty. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. This is the best part. I had applied and was rejected to Villanova in 2018. One demon subscription later, I had a 10-point LSAT score improvement. Yet, with a below median GPA and a 75th percentile LSAT at Villanova, so a splitter, I have no doubt that my personal statement was the highlight of my application and propelled me ahead in this competitive cycle. The biggest difference maker that shaped Madeline, the law school applicant, was the knowledge and advice you gave that allowed me to take control of my law school process and feel confident in my decisions. Thank you for all you do. Go Nova, Madeline. And then you asked her, huh? Why she deferred? You want to look through this, or maybe give me the bullet points?
Yeah. So I said, hey, why'd you defer? She said that she was basically in between 2 work opportunities that she didn't get to fulfill because of COVID-19, but now those opportunities are coming about and she wants to do them before she goes to law school. And that's great. I mean, maybe she'll even do them and decide not to go to law school, which I'm always open to.
Yeah.
I asked her a little bit more about her deferral process, and I thought there were a couple things that were interesting in here. She says, 1, do not apply to law school with deferring already in mind. I think we've said this before. Schools seem to vary greatly on their deferral policy. Villanova had 0 information on their website about deferrals, and it wasn't until I requested one that I got the details. So like you guys always say, if you have any doubt, wait it out and apply next cycle or never. Good. I'm glad you realized that,
Yep.
Madeline. Two, establish a good relationship with an admissions representative. This is what Sydney from our last episode was saying. For me, this was the dean of admissions. I went on a tour of the law school and met him in person. I went to virtual law school events, and throughout the year, I kept him updated on additions to my resume. So by the time I called him to ask about a deferral, he already knew me and my genuine interest in the school. I think she goes on to say here, oh, well, be prepared to walk away, which is a good point. She says, the dean of admissions told me that they actually had only one COVID related deferral last year and 3 academic or work related deferrals. And this year I was the first to request one. So the fact that they are rarely requested might have been something to do with how easy it was for her to get it. Anyways, this is what I actually wanted to read. Sorry. When I called and requested the deferral, the dean of admissions told me that we want Madeline, the future lawyer, to graduate from our school, whether that's in the class of 2024 or 2025, and that they are in full support of me strengthening the personal and professional relationships that could benefit me in the future. I don't know if any of that's true, but what I was thinking is that the fact that she had this relationship with this person would make it very easy for her to ask for a deferral or anything else for that matter, right? It's like, it's the mere fact that this person knows her is going to give her power that other applicants don't have. And so I thought there was some value in that. If you don't maybe have time to cultivate relationships with all the schools that you're looking at, but the ones that you're serious about, I don't see why that wouldn't be helpful.
Yeah. Great job,
real
Madeline.
real relationships, I would say, not just these like phony,
Right. Yeah. If you actually establish a real connection, sure. Even if it just makes it easier for you to ask, great.
Mm-hmm.
That made it easier for you to ask, and you don't get what you want if you don't ask. The thing I really like about this situation, notice in 2018, Villanova refused Madeline's money.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Oh, you applied to our law school? Nope. We don't want you at any price. Goodbye."
Yep.
10 LSAT points later, and I got to say, I'm attributing the bulk of this difference is probably not her personal statement. We did help her with her personal statement. Her personal statement was excellent, but that's not the thing that changed them from a 0 to a full ride. The thing that changed them from a 0 to a full ride was 10 more LSAT points. She went from below their 25th percentile to above their 75th percentile, or maybe at their 75th percentile. And because of that, they said, yep, you've got the horsepower. We want your numbers for our 509 report because it influences our law school rankings. And they still won't take her money.
Either way.
But now they're going to let her
you
go
want
to
to go from one extreme to the other. We don't want any school taking your money. That's what we mean. Either they're rejecting you and you're not going, or you are going for free. Hopefully, Madeline, you're not going entirely for free. Hopefully there's a good reason for that, but
well, cool. Yeah, I mean, we say this all the time, right? Like, with a 10-point improvement, you can go from below the 25th percentile to above the 75th percentile. This is a concrete example of someone who improved by exactly 10 points and went from denied to full ride, almost or full ride. Near full ride with that 10-point improvement.
Yeah.
Which there's the value of LSAT prep for you. So that's excellent. Great job, Madeline.
Cool.
Okay. What's contrast that with this one.
Yeah.
Pick where I go to law school, please, was the subject, which amused me. Thanks to meeting Matt during an online pre-law school class at University of Maryland, I was able to join the demon and go from a 150 to a 158. Still not amazing, though, because I only had a month to study before the August 2020 LSAT flex. How many alarm bells are going off for you, Ben?
Well, first of all, 8 points in a month is extraordinarily amazing. So this is amazing and at the same time disappointing. Like, why are you only giving a month? to something that could continue
That's
to pay off way more.
that's the student we can help the most. That's the student
Yeah.
who actually ends up in the 170s. We see people
Yeah.
go from 150 to 172 all the time. You know what
Yeah.
that student does first? They go from 150 to 158 in a month. And we go, oh, it's working. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And instead, it sounds like E is on the verge of making a terrible decision here.
Yeah.
Let me continue.
No, thankfully we get to pick where
Oh,
E goes to law
but
school.
we're going to
So
surprise E with our advice.
yeah.
It says, excuse me, I then had a gap year. So I started working at a plaintiff's personal injury law firm. And the work was fine, but the workplace culture sucked. Well, yeah, it's a law firm. What do you think? This is a
Personal
20-person
injury,
firm
too.
in the suburbs of New York, Melville, Long Island. It's a law firm. It's a miserable existence. I mean, it was between that and getting an MA in ethics at Fordham, but I turned that down for real world experience. Yeah, I mean, good. I can't imagine what an MA in ethics is ever going to do. Well, hey, it makes you able to like teach community college, you know, or maybe some fancy private schools would require a master's for you to teach there. But otherwise, these master's programs, especially in something like ethics, is just going to qualify you for nothing. I'm not saying that's I think that's true. I have 2 masters. I mean, they don't.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you by
Yeah.
any means.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna knock on the door of some like shop and be like, "Well, I have an MA in ethics."
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
okay,
do
you
you
were
guys
not
have
gonna
any
steal from me.
ethics problems that need to be solved? Because I'm a master of ethics. I want to be an international lawyer. I speak Greek, so hopefully I can use that to my advantage. Sure. I would think, yeah, if you want to practice international law, multiple languages is going to be a big feather in your cap, if not just straight necessary in many situations.
Her tone sounds awfully naive though. Oh, I speak
Yes.
another language, so now I'm qualified or, more
Yeah. Well,
qualified. I don't.
unfortunately, E is naive in lots of different ways. I got a full ride. That's all in caps because E's excited. I got a full ride at Turo Law School in Central Islip. How do we say Islip? New York.
You're asking me.
All right. Well, you're at least on the East Coast. Says ranked 147 to 193. I don't give a shit. It's if you're not ranked
the
in the
mere
top,
fact that that's a range just
yeah,
proves that it's meaningless. Yeah,
it's
you're not
so bogus.
Yeah.
If you're not ranked in the top 20, I don't give a shit what your ranking is. Really. I don't really care that much about the top 20 either. But, you know, there's a difference certainly between the very top and everything else. There is absolutely no difference between, I mean, really, like 47 and 147 is a pretty insignificant. It's not nearly the difference that E thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
I got 17,000 from Brooklyn Law School! Exclamation point. Ranked 81st.
Okay, we want to know how much you have to pay, not how much you got off. But
Exactly.
anyways.
Yeah, that if Brooklyn Law costs $22,000, then that's pretty good. If Brooklyn Law costs $72,000, then that's terrible. I got into PACE, but no money, so not really an option. Ranked 139.
Your all these rankings are pointless.
Exactly. These are all the same school. Nobody gives a shit about any of these schools. Like they're well, that's no, I mean, no one who doesn't live in those areas gives any shit. And even the people who do live in those areas, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an extremely rare job, especially for an international lawyer. some organization that does trade deals with Greece, and they're going to be like, do you think they care about the difference between Brooklyn Law School ranked 81 and Turo Law School ranked 147 to 193? They have no idea. They don't give any shits about, they're all the same.
Yeah.
So you got 3 offers from regional law schools. None of those are exciting. I mean, the full ride's great because you're not paying for law school.
Mm-hmm.
I am waitlisted at GW, Fordham, St. John's, and Cardozo. Waiting to hear back still from American, Northeastern, Villanova, Columbia. Got denied from Cornell and NYU. It's weird. I got waitlisted at St. John's because it's my alma mater, and I got accepted to law school for the August 2020 entering class with $25,000 scholarship. Oh, she had previously been accepted to St. John's and said no, and now you're
Wow.
waitlisted. Well, that could be because you've already told them no once, and they're worried about yield protection. Waitlist
Although
does not mean no.
did they say no with the to the 150 or to the 158? That's what, or I mean, sorry, did they say yes to the 150 or the 158? That's what I'm a little perplexed about here. The timing.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it was a no. It was a yes to the 150.
It was a yes to the 150 plus 25,000.
It was
Maybe
that
St.
was
John,
mid
maybe she's,
COVID, right?
yeah, maybe she's overqualified for St. John's. I
Could
don't
be.
know.
Could be. I didn't do enough research to apply to other schools because, excuse of the week. My parents are Greek immigrants who didn't finish college and thus want me to be in New York or as close to home as possible, but to still be able to have my freedom. Also, for context, I was a commuter student while at St. John's from 2016 to 2020. What now? What do your parents have to do with anything? You're starting your legal career. Your parents' status as Greek immigrants who didn't finish college. My parents didn't go to college at all, and I would never. I mean, I guess she's just saying she wants to stay close to her parents, but
Hey, I think so. From my limited exposure to this field of science, decision research, I think
okay.
this is called tunneling. So she looked at her parents. They said, "Hey, we want you to be close to home," and she said, "Okay, my only options are close to home," and she did not explore other alternatives. She just accepted that idea and forced her into a tunnel that required only a small number of decisions. It's unfortunate. People need to question the assumptions that they make all the
Yeah.
time.
Law school is a full-time endeavor. Legal practice is a full-time endeavor, more than full-time endeavor. And you should be making decisions for you here, not your parents would like you to stay close. I mean,
Also keep in mind, you're going to be an international lawyer. You're looking to move out.
yeah, international lawyers tend to not stay home. Not only that, but I mean, I see GW on her list here, which means she's at least willing to go as far as DC.
And as is American. And then she's got Northeastern.
Which means she's got the entire Eastern Seaboard to choose from here. Which I mean, that is plenty of schools. There's 50 law schools that I think are within her geographical boundaries, even if she decides to arbitrarily set those.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying that excuse. The I didn't do enough research we're never buying that. Sorry. I just want to get the best education possible and go somewhere that will have a lot of opportunities. Wish I could have been accepted to an Ivy League, but my LSAT clearly was too low. I agree. My GPA, on the other hand, was 3.88. And when I saw that, that's when this went from like disappointing into potential tragedy.
Yeah. You went up 8 points on the LSAT in 1 month. You tell that to most people, and they're going to be like envious of you to no end. And you have a 3.88. You have the potential to do amazing. And you're not doing that.
You could go to literally the best law schools in the country. You want to be an international lawyer? You probably should go to Harvard, Stanford, Yale. I don't think these other schools are making you into an international lawyer. I think you are seriously sacrificing potential if you accept any of these offers. I think it would be an absolute disaster for you to start law school with any of these offers.
You're going to be laden with financial burdens and time commitments that will set you down a path that unfortunately started when you began limiting yourself solely based on what your parents were thinking.
Yeah. She says, I know the motto is don't pay for law school, but do you guys think it's worth it to pay for Brooklyn Law School? Especially
No,
because they definitely have better international law opportunities over Turo.
they have the same.
Yeah, they don't. Brooklyn Law is bullshitting you with their fantasies about turning people directly into international lawyers. There's no way that's a thing. I promise you, the vast majority of people who go to Brooklyn Law School end up practicing law in New York.
Yeah.
And you have such potential. That 3.88 is priceless. You literally cannot buy that. You could combine that with a 165 or a 170 or a 173 LSAT, and the entire world of law opportunities would open up to you. You could do literally anything you wanted. You're going to totally slam the door on all of those opportunities if you start law school this fall. It's a fucking disaster, Ben.
Yep.
Next steps for E,
Withdraw your application.
all of them. All of them across the board. All the schools that you're waitlisted at, all the schools that have given you offers, withdraw from every single one of these schools immediately.
Yes, and don't hold on to the ones,
No,
even the ones that have waitlisted you, in an effort to see what you might get, because
because
whatever you're going to get is not going to be good enough, and you're going to be tempted by it. So you have to prevent your future self from making a stupid decision.
the only school on those lists at all, you haven't heard back yet from Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
That's an elite institution, but you haven't heard back from them. You're probably not going to hear back from them. They don't admit people with 158s. That's very rare. And those wait lists, if GW decides to let you in, that would be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Same with Fordham, same with St. John's, same with Cardozo. You do not want to attend these schools. You're wasting your opportunity.
Can you read this next paragraph? I'm perplexed by it.
Well, they attached their resume and personal statement, but
Why? What? They already applied.
I don't know. I think maybe they thought that it would be useful for us for background information or something. But the thing that they're missing is just the overwhelming importance of the LSAT.
Yep.
I'm glad you met Matt. I'm glad you started with the Demon. I'm glad you went from a 150 to 158. But you can go from that 158 to a 168. And if you do, just like what happened to Madeline in the previous email, you take that 158, you work hard for 3 months, you turn it into a 168, and you're going to go from, there's going to be schools that blanket denied you, and that exact same school will be giving you a full ride. That's what happened to Madeline. And this 1 month of studying frantically at the last minute to get a 158 and then go to law school. Not only not only are you not allowed, according to me and Ben, not allowed to go to Brooklyn Law School and pay, you're also not allowed to accept this full ride to Turo or accept any offer from any of these schools.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting this image in my head, but it almost feels like you showed up for a 5K race like 20 minutes late, and you like chugged some water and started running. Everyone else has already been running for 30 minutes. It's an unfortunate waste of your potential. Anyways, good luck.
Yeah, you did really super well in that 1 month in the Demon. I mean, and regardless of whether you ever pay us another dime, that's not the point. I'm not trying to squeeze another couple months of subscription out of you. I just want you to make a much better decision here. You're going to thank us for the rest of your life if you deny all these, if you turn down all these offers keep studying for the LSAT, squeak out even another 5 points. Your
I was going to
offers,
say the same thing. A 163 is just a world of difference from these offers
you
and
don't,
schools.
yeah, please. I mean, write us back if you have any follow-ups or whatever, but you're about to make a tragic error here and your life is going to be, you're just slamming doors on your own self if you take any of these offers right now.
Cool. But thanks for writing in.
Thanks very much for writing in. I mean, I think this is somebody that we might be able to pull back from the brink.
Mm-hmm.
That's about to be a disaster. Anyway, next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, this next one's from Danielle. Hi, I was listening to one of your podcasts from October 2020 and was wondering whether you still offer the deal on the LSAT Demon if you've been approved for the LSAC fee waiver. Please let me know and love your podcast. Yes, Danielle, we do offer that same deal. What's the deal, Nathan?
All you got to do is email help@lsatdemon.com with proof of your LSAC fee waiver. We will get your LSAC account number or whatever so that we can, that we can connect to your LSAC Prep Plus account, which you get for free with the LSAC fee waiver. And then what we will give you is, instead of charging you $95 a month for Demon Basic, we will charge you $30 one time. That's a fee that we have to pay to the Law School Admission Council for some dumb reason. But we will charge you that $30 one time, and we'll give you 4 months worth of the basic LSAT Demon subscription.
Cool. Yeah. Join us.
Hope you join us. We also have several people who are subscribed to premium or live and get 20% off of those higher tier programs. Same thing, just send help@lsatdemon.com a copy of your fee waiver, and we'll either get you on board for virtually free, or we'll give you a healthy discount on your subscription price.
Cool. All right, I'll read this next one too. That one was a little short. Dear Ben and Nathan, hope you all are doing well. I'm doing well. You doing well?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, thanks.
Cool, man. I was your student on the LSAT Demon from September to mid-January. Thanks to the Demon, my LSAT score improved from mid 140 in May of 2020 to mid 160 January of this year.
See,
As a
that's 7
student,
months of prep, and it's a more than 20-point increase, and
yeah,
he was on the way to getting to those kind of results. She was
yeah.
I'm on the way to life-changing results. Nah, I'll just stop. I'll just stop there. I got on this
Yeah.
new exercise routine, and I'm 50 pounds overweight, and I lost 10 pounds the first month, and I'll just call it good.
Yeah.
What? Anyway, Z did not do that. Z
Yeah. Good
made
job,
the
Z.
20-point improvement. Yeah.
As a student based in Vancouver, Canada, I have accepted an offer from UBC, the UBC JD program in Vancouver, the best law school in Western Canada and the second most competitive law school in the country. Okay. I'm still very tempted. However, I'm still very tempted by the top U.S. law school, especially HYS, Harvard, Yale, and Stanford. Not only those schools are so prestigious, but also the income from U.S. law firms is much higher than in Canada. Oh, okay. So the top 3 U.S. schools are still very attractive to me. Got it. So I may want to take a shot to rewrite the LSAT this summer. For our American listeners, rewrite means just to take it, and see if I can receive a 170 plus in August. Look, I'm not opposed to that. There was that question when I saw the mid 160s. Why not keep going, right? Like every point just is more money. If yes, I would like to try to apply for HYS this fall while going to my Canadian JD program. Wait, what? If not, I'm still very happy to do my Canadian JD. I won't lose anything except the time for leisure and the time with family and friends, and except the time to purchase LSAT study materials. All right. Do you want to jump in here on any of this so far?
Law school in Canada is different. It's
Okay.
cheaper.
Okay.
They don't give nearly as many scholarships.
Okay.
Um, Z is making a strange comparison here. Like the salaries coming out of University of British Columbia, Vancouver, presumably practicing law in Canada versus going to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, the
Yeah.
salary that you would make there, presumably practicing law in the United States. Harvard and Yale also are 3,000 miles away. It's not just a different country, but it's an entirely different side of the continent.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford is close enough to Vancouver, short flight, same time zone. But what do you want to do, Z? Do you want to work in the United States or do you want to work in Canada?
Is it just about the money? Because you have connections to Canada. I don't know. You got to think about where you want to end up.
Well, and I don't think, if you want to practice in Vancouver, I'm not sure that a Harvard, Yale, or Stanford degree makes you more money in Vancouver than a UBC JD makes you in Vancouver.
Yeah.
In fact, I promise you that the UBC program has very strong connections to anybody who's practicing law in Vancouver. You can see downtown Vancouver from the UBC campus. I mean, like, I don't, I have a hard time imagining that there's somebody in one of those office towers downtown who is turning up their nose at UBC JDs and preferring Harvard, Yale, Stanford.
Yeah.
In Canada? Why?
Yeah. It sounds like what you're saying, and I think this is where at least I'm going with this. If you want to end up in Vancouver, go to your Canadian law school in Vancouver. If you want to end up in the States, then double down on the LSAT and apply next cycle.
Vancouver is the nicest. It's the best city. It's the best place in the world. Vancouver is unbelievably nice. And Canada is a better version of the United States. So I don't imagine, I bet they, the grass is always greener. So they probably look over the border and think, oh, wow, boy, those Americans, they really have. No, we don't. You trust me. Vancouver is ridiculously nice. Canada is ridiculously civilized. You sound like you're established. Sounds like you got connections. Why do you give a shit about Harvard, Yale, Stanford? I don't get it.
Okay, so Z goes on. My LSAT Canadian GPA is 4.11, which is above the 75th percentile for all U.S. law schools. I don't know anything about that, but would he get a different LSAT GPA? I wonder.
So yeah, that's a C GPA, which I've never even seen before. My guess is that those don't get reported on the 509. My guess, I'm purely speculating. You'd have to call LSAC to be sure, or call a law school to be sure. But my speculation is that it might show up as not reported for US law schools. We'd have to ask Jackson for sure. I bet he would know. He's, by the way, running our study group for Canadian students these days. There are Canada specific issues, but I don't know that we've never seen anything above a 4.0 on a 509 report.
No, we haven't. I don't know if that's possible.
With that might just be a Canada calculation thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, he's talking about his letters of rec and his undergrad experience. I don't know that that's going to stick out in any significant way. So based on what I described, do you think it is worth it for me to spend this summer studying the LSAT? Yes, I think it is if you want to come to the US and practice law here. If not, I would stop. I don't think any US law schools after T3 are attractive enough for me to leave Vancouver. Okay, well that's kind of revealing. And what I aim to apply for are the top 3 schools. Okay, we got that. Another factor to consider is that I have studied for this exam for 7 to 8 months. Actually, I would not consider that a factor. It's in the past. You're moving forward from today. So you have to decide what you want to do and make that decision on what's ahead of you, not what's behind you. So how much can I improve for another 3 or 4 months of studies is another question. I don't know, but I think you could get to the 170s. But I am sure that I won't be very stressed studying the LSAT this time since I'm kind of secured in a great Canadian school. I'm still listening to your podcast, even though I've done my LSAT studies. Thank you all so much. And I look forward to your precious advice. Wow. Okay. It sounds to me like Z should just go to Canada. I don't, this whole like, oh, I get only those top 3 are the ones that are appealing
Right.
enough for me to leave. Sounds to
Right.
me like you already have your
Like,
feet
yeah,
planted in
right.
Vancouver.
Like Columbia's not good enough.
Yeah.
NYU's not
Michigan.
good enough.
Yeah.
Penn's not good enough. I never would think about those schools,
Yeah.
but I would think about Harvard and Yale and Stanford. I think you're just falling into I think you've been on Reddit too much.
Yeah. You're falling into the aura of their mystique.
The magic HYS. I can just say that
Yeah.
I went to HYS and I can keep throwing around HYS over and over and over, or top 3 over and over. Who gives a shit? I don't think anybody in Vancouver gives a shit. If I was in Vancouver, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be riding around on my bike, playing Frisbee. There's no way I would be thinking that Harvard and Yale are better than University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
Dude, I'm envisioning you doing both of those things at the same time.
Bike Frisbee?
Yeah, you're biking, smiling, and throwing the Frisbee.
I'm pretty sure I have smiled ear to ear every time I've been in Vancouver. It really is a quite lovely place.
Cool.
Good luck, Z. I don't think it doesn't sound like you want to come to the United States. You don't want to be American, do you? Nobody wants that.
It's not you, it's us. Okay. We get it.
Absolutely. It's us. Trust us. You don't want any of this. All right. Dear Ben and Nathan, I started the Demon about 2 weeks ago. I found your podcast after reading both of Anne Levine's books. Oh, neat. I listened to one show and immediately looked up the Demon. Notice the antiquated 2 spaces between all the sentences.
I know. I've seen that.
It's rare now that we even get any of these because we yelled about it so much, but we can all just use one space. Save your space bar. 1 space between sentences is the modern standard. It only took a couple days of using the free trial for me to sign up for the premium version, and it has already paid off. We should make a note here. It's kind of related to our earlier discussion about our fee waiver program. Demon free, it's no longer even a free trial. It's free and it's badass. Ben, you just taught a class the other day, which is now included in our Demon free. If you would like to take an LSAT class with me, Nathan Fox, if you would like to take a class with Ben Olson, you can do so for free. All you got to do is go to lsatdemon.com and just get yourself a free account. We've got it's a growing library of classes.
Yeah.
There's
thousands of people in that Demon free already. So
yep, thousands of other people there studying. You get invited to live events if you sign up for that. You also already have on demand hours worth of LSAT instruction. We want to make Demon free the very best free resource that exists. I think it already is, Ben.
Yeah,
really.
But we're expanding it every day. So
if you have $0 for LSAT prep, I hope you will study with us. Yep. LSATdemon.com. It's free. And yes, we do have subscriptions. If you want to do more with us, there's ways to do more, but you could get started. I mean, I think it would take you at least a few weeks to exhaust our free content. Mm-hmm. And in those few weeks, you might improve your LSAT score by 10 points. So get on it. Anyway, did the free version. It's not a free trial. It's forever free. And that has already paid off. Signed up for premium. I just took my first practice test since starting the Demon, and my score has already improved 5 points. Great. I'm still not at the point of being able to finish each section, which you really shouldn't be thinking about. But of the sections I finish, I'm only missing 2 to 3 questions. Even better than that on the games. For the life of me, I could barely complete a game without seeing how to diagram it, let alone get all the questions right before the demon. I'm now able to do most games perfectly, and just checking with your videos during review that I had the same rough idea. Creating worlds has changed everything. On this practice test, I was only able to get through 2 games, but I only missed 1 question. During my review, I tried the other 2 games without looking at the answers or the video first, and I did them both perfectly. I had been studying since January with the Power Score books mostly and Khan. I also briefly tried the LSAT trainer, but I felt like it was making me worse at everything. I wasn't getting anywhere with my scores or accuracy. I wish I had found you guys sooner. I'm keeping the faith that continuing to drill will improve my time and eventually my score. I refuse to rush through a section. Okay. M is it's like M is recapping all of our advice here. But they're on board. That's great. Making progress, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm intending to apply for admission in 2022 as a part-time student at my local law school. My options are limited due to not being able to leave my job, house, boyfriend, and dog. These are not listed in order of priority. If it was priority, what would it be, Ben?
What would it be? Would it be dog first, M? Let's be honest.
Most people, yeah. Dog, house, job, boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay. Moving away to any school is not an option. I know you guys recommend applying to 10 or more schools, but there might be 2 I could apply to and not have to move or leave my job. Would you recommend just applying to those or adding in other schools just to use as leverage, even though I would have absolutely no intention of going there, even with scholarships / full ride offers? Love the podcast. Praise the demon. M.
Well, look, Em, I'm sorry. I can't accept your claim that moving away to any school is not an option, that you have to stay because of your job, your house, your boyfriend, and your dog. Your dog doesn't make sense anyways, because your dog can come with you. Your house doesn't make sense because moving by definition means to leave behind your house. And you can sell it. That's what we do every day in this economy. In fact, this is a great time to sell your house. And your boyfriend can come with you if you're that important in his life. And your job, you're going to law school to leave your job. So other than your boyfriend, I don't understand your claim that you can't move away. And I think you're doing exactly what the other listener was doing. You're tunneling. You've narrowed your set of options to a certain scope, and you're saying this is my only way forward, and it's seriously cramping your flexibility.
Yeah, and more law schools these days are adding online versions of their programs anyway.
Yeah.
I just saw a thing. I don't know how I happened on it, but Golden Gate in San Francisco, which that was always my like go-to for don't pay for law school when I was in San Francisco. It was like, hey, if you can't get a full ride to Golden Gate, you shouldn't be going to law school, period.
Mm-hmm.
And let's start with the default assumption that you're going to at least get yourself a full ride to Golden Gate. And then sure, you can level up from there. But Golden Gate now is offering, and I foresaw this, Ben. I foresaw, it's obvious, that's why I foresaw it, that they are now offering a, I forget what they're calling it. It might have like Flex or something like that in the name, but they're offering a program where it's a part-time online program, and all you ever have to do to come, you come to school like 4 weekends per year or something like that. And so which it's inevitable after COVID. I mean, more and more law schools are going to be doing exactly this. In fact,
saves them money.
If your law school isn't doing this, then they're stupid. I mean, really, like, you know, if your school is focusing on building skyscrapers and not focusing on online education, they're dumb. They're dumb. And you don't, that's not a smart strategic move for them. And so at M, I think you probably have dozens more opportunities that you're not even looking at. I think you're assuming that you have to go to law school in person. I do not think that's true. I don't care where you live. You could live in Vancouver and come down to San Francisco 4 weekends a year. That's not a big deal. That's a cheap flight. And it's not just going to be Golden Gate. It's going to be dozens of other law schools all across the country that are giving you these other options.
So what I hear you saying is, even if the school is far away, you can stay in your job, your house, with your boyfriend and your
Yeah.
dog, and still go to these other schools. So that's one option. I'm still going to double down on this moving away
I'll,
thing, and I'm going to ask you to do a mental, what is that called? A thought experiment.
okay, I'm
I
doing it.
want you. Oh, yeah, this is for M, but also
Oh,
but you can do it too.
can I play along?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
I'm going to
Put
do
your
it.
hat on. Okay.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Imagine for a second, M, that you cannot go to school locally.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
I'd
You
move
could,
to
I
Vancouver.
can, but just imagine that that was not allowed, and just think about the possibilities that come up. The other thing I want you to think about is, I want you to think about your opportunity costs. That phrase may be confusing and not intuitive, but I want you to think about what you're giving up by keeping your job, right? Like, if you got into an awesome school for free with a stipend somewhere else, you'd be giving that up to keep your job. I'm thinking that you're keeping your job because you like the money. Well, if it's all about the money, that's easily replaceable, especially with a full ride or even a stipend somewhere and your future potential income.
Lawyers make extreme sacrifices, and most people break up or get divorced in law school anyway.
Well, that's encouraging.
It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's not most people, but
Yeah.
it's extremely common. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of rare that you make it through law school with your existing boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's just not. That's. I mean, whatever. I don't know your exact circumstances, but in the best of cases, people end up breaking up.
Yeah. If you guys are serious, get engaged and move forward, or it's
Then you can
up and
break
out,
off your
right?
engagement once you're in law school. I mean, like the that's, I'm sorry, but that's life, and you're I'm not saying you need to plan on breaking up, but you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to have a legal career. You're going to have a law practice the lawyers that I know have moved several times for jobs. Not only did they move for law school, but then they also moved multiple times for jobs. My two Nickys, Nikki Black, who was on the show, and Nikki Garcia, both my board game lawyer buddies, but they've already taken multiple jobs in their careers in entirely different cities, and they've done that with partners.
Mm-hmm.
But their career trumps their partner's career.
Yeah.
that's the way it works. It's lawyer shit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
maybe your relationship is more important, but then it's like, well, why are you even going to law school? You have to.
Right.
There's so many
Exactly.
questions, so many
Right.
assumptions. Yeah.
If you're not willing to make that sacrifice, then maybe law school is just not the right choice. The dog can come with you. The house is fungible. Boyfriend's probably also fungible. Job, yeah, but you're not gonna stay there forever. You're planning to be a lawyer, so presumably you're gonna quit that job.
Oh, that just made me think of something. Here's the second thought experiment.
Okay.
Imagine that you stay in the same job, the same house, with the same boyfriend and the same dog for the next 20 years. Is that your plan? How painful does that sound? Right? Like,
Horrible.
you're like 20 years from now, you see yourself sitting in that same situation. I mean, presumably you're going to go to law school and get a job in the area, but still, do you want to be in that same house for 20 years?
Yeah, M wants change. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going to law school.
Yeah. Anyways.
I want a dramatic change, but I want to keep all these other things exactly the same. I doubt, I don't know. That doesn't quite add up. Anyway, the reason to apply to the other schools is not just for leverage. The reason to apply to those other schools is to know what you're worth in the marketplace, but you should also be seriously considering other options. I mean, at a minimum, check out Golden Gate as an example. Check out a school like that to see what kinds of new modern programs they're offering, because I have a feeling that those are all across the country now. But also, we don't have any idea what kind of level this person is at, do we?
Mm-mm.
If you apply to a school in the top 14 and get in and get a scholarship offer or something, really, you're not going to pull up roots in order to take a like a life-changing career offer? I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for writing
All
in.
right. Yeah. Did you just read that one or did I read that? I can't even remember.
You did.
Okay.
No, I did. Sorry.
All right. I'll read this next one. Do you still have time?
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, guys. Exclamation point. Thanks, Katie. First, I want to thank you for your podcast, or for the podcast and the demon. Ooh, the was capitalized. Yeah. They both helped me realize the test is very straightforward, so there's no need to panic. I couldn't agree more. That's great. You also helped me go from a diagnostic of 152 in November to a 163 on the January LSAT. Unfortunately, it was the same day I woke up feeling terrible and found out I had COVID. I felt awful and couldn't seem to concentrate, especially on reading comp. So I was a few points lower than my average. I'm an elementary school teacher, though, so it's going to happen eventually. I guess taking it again. It was just super annoying that I had avoided. Oh, I see. Getting COVID was going to happen eventually. It was just super annoying that I had avoided it for 10 months only to first have the symptoms the same day I took my first test. I took it again in February and got a 166. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you took it again. All of my progress was entirely because of the demon. Every teacher I had was so nice and amazingly helpful. Aw. The drilling was the perfect way to work through a question, then immediately get feedback on how to improve and better understand the test. The one time I had a technical issue on the site, I got very quick replies and the problem was solved within a day. 100% satisfied with every aspect of the class's website and team. Awesome. Nathan,
Wow.
why did you include this email?
I don't know. They also must not have had any of my classes if they're 100% satisfied.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's
Yeah.
all those. Yeah, that's funny. Now I have a question. Okay. I had applied to a number of schools when I got my first results. I know February is very late and completely against your recommendation. I was mostly just interested to see what would happen. But okay. Now you're just setting yourself up to be tempted by offers that are going to be subpar. But anyways,
Exactly.
and fully expected to have to apply again in the fall. I don't know why you'd put yourself through that, but okay. I ended up getting a very good offer from the school I was most interested in. Very good doesn't sound like best, but anyways, after they got my new score, they bumped it up to a full scholarship. All I will have to borrow is my living expenses, and my dad has offered to lend that to me without interest. But here's where I'm unsure what to do. I also got a very good offer from a school here in town. It's for their part-time program, so I could continue to work while I go to school. I could move back in with my mom and have very little living expenses and pay for tuition as I go. This means I will finish in 4 years with no debt, but the local school is ranked so low. It's in the group where they don't actually give the school a ranking. They're just all in the 148 to 194 group, which we saw earlier.
Can we cut the rest of this?
Sure.
My advice is clear. I believe your advice is going to be the same.
Okay.
Turn down all these offers and reapply at the beginning of the next cycle like you should have in the first place. You don't know what your actual value is. You applied in February. You got shitty offers for you. Your offers would have been much better if you would have applied in the beginning of the cycle like you're supposed to. This is, I didn't follow your advice, but now I'm going to ask for your advice again. And I'm giving you my advice. Turn down all these offers and reapply at the beginning of the next cycle. You don't even know what those offers could possibly look like because you shortchanged yourself by applying late. This almost full ride and these ranked 148 to 194 schools, they're going to give you at least as good offers next year, probably almost guaranteed better. You're about to shoot yourself in the foot. This is the most competitive law school admission cycle ever, according to Anne Levine. And you applied late in it and you got okay offers, and you're just comparing mediocre with mediocre.
Yeah, I agree. If you apply, you may get a stipend at some of these schools. Stipends aren't super common, but that would get rid of your need to even live at home or pay your father an interest-free
We
loan.
just don't even know. I mean, I also would be willing to bet that Katie didn't apply to enough schools. She threw in some applications at the last minute just to see what would happen. And now she's about to take a sucker offer from one of these schools that they know she's not savvy. She applied so late in the cycle that they know that she's like, she just looks desperate. She looks unsophisticated. They don't have any reason to really, back up the Brinks truck for her because she just, I don't know. This is another example where it's like you're rushing into just a suboptimal. She's doing, it's like every sentence is a new little layer of rationalization.
Yeah.
Like I would just be borrowing this and it would be better than this other shitty thing. And it's like, yeah, you know what we you trust our advice. It's like, thank you again for absolutely everything all of you do at the Demon and thinking LSAT and like asking for advice, but not following our explicit advice.
Yeah.
It's super common. I just can't, we really can't help people who just don't listen to our obvious instructions. I'm glad you're a fan, Katie. I'm glad you enjoyed the Demon. I'm glad you improved so much, but sorry, this is a little bit of tough love. I hate all these offers. If you apply in September broader, you're going to find that you have all these offers plus who knows what else. And it's the upside of the who knows what else is going to make it worth it to just wait. It's not even going to be the end of 2021. I mean, you're going to have offers if you apply September 1st, like you should have, and you should have. Yeah. If you do that, you're going to have offers in October or November that blow these offers out of the water.
Yeah.
Talking about tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. And, like your family is wanting to help out and stuff, but they don't have to. The law schools would just pay all this money. It's really nice that your dad wants to loan you the money with no interest, but that money, your dad can invest that money and earn interest on it.
Yeah. Good luck, Katie.
Good luck, Katie. Two more that if I think we could do them real fast.
Yeah, let's knock them out. Go for it.
Hello, Nathan and Ben. I'm currently an active duty Army intelligence analyst, and I'm struggling to feel rested while studying for the LSAT. I usually study between 7:30 and 9:30 p.m., but by that time, it feels as though my brain is shutting down. Getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep and nutrition is not making a change. Do you guys have any tips to overcome this or any suggestions to productively drill and do timed sections given my time constraints?
Yeah, don't study for 2 hours at night. Maybe you can't study until 7:30. I'm going to question that assumption. Can you study a little bit earlier? Can you study for a half hour, 45 minutes and be focused? I can't imagine that you're
One good
tired right
hour
at
is better than
7:30.
2 shitty hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you do 7:30 to 8:30 and have it be high quality
Can you
instead of
do it in
7:30 to 9:30 and have it be shit?
Yeah. I imagine this person starts earlier in the day, so maybe they can't study before work and
But why
you
not?
know,
Why can't people
well,
what
yeah, I'm gonna say like because if you're tired, I don't want the same problem to happen on the other end. Sometimes it takes a little bit to wake up. I don't know. I mean, it's worth asking yourself. But even if you can't, can you do it during lunch? Why 7:30 to 9:30? Why is that the only time? So
you need to find a way to bring your best hour a day to the LSAT.
and maybe
Let's
that's
start
two
with
half
that.
hours. Yeah.
Right. Right. It's also, what about one good hour before work? I don't care nearly as much about the second hour. I care a lot about the first hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, with drilling, I mean, you could 2 half-hour sessions of drilling, 4 15-minute sessions of drilling, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But not 2 tired hours after work. I can't tell you how many students have had huge benefit from just deciding that they were going to study before work instead of after work. You reschedule your workout, you go to bed an hour earlier, you set your alarm an hour earlier. I mean, if you're already getting up at 5, whatever, you get up at 4 instead. I mean, like, sacrifices will be made if you're going to pursue this career.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Here's the last one's from Julia. It says, "Hi guys, I'm a longtime listener of the podcast and was wondering if you would have any insight or advice on my options for law school. At this point, I have narrowed my choices down to the following: Wash U, full ride plus stipend, no debt. Katie, you hear that? Stipend. Northwestern, 40,000 a year, roughly 100,000 in debt. Jeez Louise. Columbia, financial aid pending, but assuming sticker price, that's 280,000 in debt. Jeez Louise, I don't even know if these would be comparable options. I
That's
know
the
the mantra
first
is,
thing I thought, was that
yeah,
there's a wide gap between these schools. Why have
yeah,
you narrowed your choices down to just these three?
yeah.
Because that's apples and oranges. I mean, I guess Wash U is actually surprisingly high ranked, like just outside the top 14, and super aggressive about scholarships.
Okay, end of story. Then if those are your only three choices, choose Wash Lu.
That's what I
Wash
say.
U. I don't know why though there are these three choices.
Right.
I'm curious. Okay, so Julia says, I know the metro is don't pay for law school, but being such a high ranked school, would Columbia be an exception? Nope. For some background, I'm a native New Yorker and I'm pretty set on working here after I graduate. I still don't think it's worth
No.
close to $300,000.
Nope.
I'm not sure what exactly I want to do after law school. Okay, even more reason not to worry about, even more reason to worry about the debt, to give yourself the freedom to do what you want, but have some experience working in New York big law as a paralegal. So what? I wouldn't want to do it forever. If I had significant debt, I feel confident I could handle working in big law for a few years to pay it down. Um, you feel confident that you could handle it, but do you want? I just don't. To me, it doesn't make sense. You can go for free. Someone could hand you a check for $300,000. What would you do with it? Would you say, okay, I'll give it back and try to earn that money back by going to big law? That's crazy. Anyways, Columbia was my dream school when starting this process. Dreams are not always, by the way, well informed.
Yeah,
But I'm concerned it's financially irresponsible.
it
You are
is.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Wash U seems like the logical choice. I have a few concerns, mostly about less guaranteed job options and relocating to St. Louis. I've always been a good student, a 3.9 GPA in undergrad, so in theory, being in the top of my class could be doable, but I have it in my head that Columbia would open more doors. Northwestern might be a good middle ground, top 14, more reasonable debt than Columbia and Chicago, and it's closer to New York. Feels a lot more doable than no, okay. But I still got spooked seeing how it dropped from 9 to 12 in the most recent US news
Gives a
rankings.
shit.
That has no
Who gives a
bearing on
shit?
anything. Yep. Am I crazy for wanting to go to Columbia if I'm not committed to a career in big law, or could
Yes.
it actually be worth the debt?
No.
The facts are in front of you and you are grappling with accepting them. Yeah, the logical choice is Wash U. Don't worry about these rankings. Don't worry about the opportunities. Again, if someone said to you, here's a check for $300,000, would you say, no, thanks? I'd like the opportunities. I don't think that they're there. I don't think they're, I just don't think it's worth that big of it. That's a huge amount of money. And it's not even $300,000, right? Because really you're going to be paying this up over time. So I know you probably won't be able to answer this question, but I wanted to thank you guys for all your help over the years. I relied on the podcast, The Demon, to study and attended one of your weekend classes in New York. Oh, cool. I wouldn't have done as well as I did without the advice. You got a 175. Wait a sec. She has a 3.9 and a 175. I feel like there should be more offers on the table here.
I think Julia gave us a limited list of options here, and I think that there are more choices than just these. I have no idea why we've narrowed it down to 3 schools in 3 far flung. I mean, I guess St. Louis and Chicago are kind of close to each other, but where are all your other offers from regional New York schools, for example? Where's the full ride from Brooklyn? Where's the full ride from Fordham? You got lots of other choices that are closer than Wash U. And I would think that there should be offers in the top 14.
With a 175, you're in the 75th percentile for every school, or at least every school except for Yale, maybe?
And a 3.9 GPA. I'm sorry. People hate this advice. The one thing, she doesn't have a bullet point here for reject all offers and try again next cycle.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to do that.
You have great numbers. I don't
Fuck
understand.
yeah, you do.
I don't understand why your choices are these choices.
I don't think any of these offers are worth.
Where's Harvard?
That's what I'm saying. Where's Stanford? Where's Yale? Where's UVA? And where are all the other? Where's Michigan? Yeah, Julia, your numbers are apply to Harvard, get in, turn them down, and go to Michigan on a full ride plus $10,000 a year stipend instead. That's what your numbers would justify.
I feel like the name of this episode is Stop Tunneling. Everybody's just like narrowing down their choices to these weird, like small landscapes in the vast universe of choices.
Yep. Julia, with your numbers, if I was you, I would not take any of these offers. Yep. I think that Wash U full ride plus stipend, I mean, that's a good start. I can't guarantee, but I would be shocked. I would wager a lot that Wash U will just immediately give you that same offer next cycle.
Yeah.
So you can't do worse than that. It's impossible to do worse. These offers, really, with your numbers, it's impossible to do worse.
Yeah. So
why not reject all these offers and apply again on September 1st? Nobody wants to do that, but everybody's so short-sighted. They don't realize that they're playing a 40, 50 year game here. And, starting the game before you really get the best starting position is just, you're not setting yourself up for as much success as you could possibly have. You have elite numbers, and these are not elite offers.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever given this analogy on the show. It's such a common analogy. It's almost a little boring. But you know that one where they talk about how the plane is taking off, and if it's like 2 degrees off, you leave Los Angeles and you're heading for New York, but if
Sure.
you're 2 degrees off, you're going to end up in DC or maybe
Right.
Florida,
Right.
right? A small change at the beginning has a big impact at the end. If you haven't
Yeah.
heard that analogy before, this is exactly what we're talking about. You're 2 degrees off from applying now or accepting now versus, reapplying. But that 2 degrees can make the world of difference.
Yeah. I mean, in the plane, with the whole plane example, the plane is always off target, right? And it is constantly just adjusting itself back to target. But
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is with law school admissions, it's more like a ballistic, I'm thinking about like a trebuchet or a cannonball, where you don't get to steer it once you've fired it.
Oh, I was saying the plane didn't steer. Like if you head off in the wrong
Right. No, but
direction,
that's right.
but you
But
can. I
let's
gotcha.
tweak the example
Mm-hmm.
to a cannonball or a trebuchet or a whatever, an
What
arrow.
is a trebuchet?
Yeah, Game of Thrones, the big, like, it's got the arm and it like
Oh,
launches the thing. That's a trebuchet. Um,
sweet.
yeah, Julia, you're about to launch on the just wrong trajectory here.
Yep.
You want to get that dialed in precisely, then fire, because those are, to me, those look like shockingly bad offers.
And shockingly amazing numbers.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're at or above the 75th percentile for Harvard, Stanford, Yale for both LSAT and GPA. Where's your admittance to one of those schools, or where's your full ride to some other school in the top 14? These offers look like garbage to me. I'm worried that Julia might have applied late. It's the most competitive cycle ever. I would be curious about the personal statement.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Did that shoot her in the foot somehow? Did she come across as extraordinarily naive and these schools ran away for some reason? Or worse, I don't know. It's strange. The offers don't make sense to me.
Julia, if you withdraw all these offers and reapply next cycle, I will be surprised if you don't end up on a full ride at a top 14. And none of these are full rides at top 14s. So I think they're all beneath you. I think you can do better.
Yep. Thanks for writing it.
Boy.
Yeah. Hopefully this advice was helpful and not depressing, but I think it's like the tough love that we wouldn't say anything else. We
It's
wouldn't
just
say
that,
hooray for you, good job, have a good time at Wash U. Yeah.
well, look, we started with Madeline,
Yeah.
who sounds like did everything right and ends up with a full ride offer to a school that was previously going to deny her. And we see so many people getting such incredible offers. We see that every single cycle. So we know how good it can be for you. And so when we see these mediocre offers, you're asking us for advice. So we're going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And there's no shame, or it's not a tragedy. Like, people really, there is a discomfort to just not knowing. And but it's not worth, like, the relief of that discomfort is not worth setting yourself on the just wrong path here.
Yeah. All right. If you want to get the same tough love that we dished out today, email your excuse of the week, your plans to apply now, despite all our advice to the contrary, at help@thinkinglsat.com. If you have questions about the LSAT Demon, email help@lsatdemon.com. As Nathan said earlier, you can sign up for Demon Free, which is forever, and get a lot out of that before you run out of tests and questions. There's several courses in there already, and we keep adding more every day. That was episode 292 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.